alien princes shocked after facing humanity's scouts and losing everything. They were scouts, not warriors, and they had no reason to announce themselves. Space around them was wide and empty, filled with drifting dust and cold stars. To the humans, this place was unknown but not frightening. They had crossed many unknown places before. The lead scout ship was guided by Laura King. She sat straight in her seat, eyes moving from one screen to another. Her voice was calm as she gave quiet orders. Beside her was Daniel Brooks, who watched long lines of data scroll past. He spoke rarely, but when he did, people listened. Both of them had trained for years for moments like this. Their mission was simple: observe, record, avoid conflict. Humanity had learned long ago that rushing into battle without knowledge only brought loss. Scouts were the eyes of their people. They went first, saw everything, and survived to tell the story. Far across the same sector, a massive alien fleet moved with pride and noise. Bright energy shields glowed around tall ships shaped like blades and crowns. At the center of the fleet were two command vessels, larger than the rest. Inside them were Prince Callan and Prince Vorix of the Zoralian Empire. The two princes stood before wide windows, looking out at the stars as if they owned them. Callan was tall and sharp-featured, his posture perfect. Vorix was broader, with a restless tail that moved when he was annoyed or bored. Both had been raised to believe they were superior to all other life. This mission was meant to be easy. The Empire had detected a new spacefaring species called humans. Early reports described them as divided, emotional, and slow. Their ships were small. Their weapons were basic. The alien court decided the princes would observe them and learn how to control or remove them later. Callan spoke first, his tone smooth and confident. He said the humans would either submit or scatter the moment they saw the fleet. Vorix laughed and said he hoped they would fight, just for entertainment. Their fleet sensors soon detected faint movement at the edge of the sector. Small signatures, weak power output, scout-class ships. The alien officers reacted with amusement. Some even turned away from their screens, already bored. When the image of the human ships appeared, the princes leaned closer. The vessels were tiny compared to their own. Simple shapes, no visible weapons charging, no shields flaring. Vorix shook his head and said these were not warriors, they were prey. Callan ordered the fleet to move closer but not to attack. He wanted to see fear in action. On the human ship, Daniel noticed the change instantly. His eyes narrowed slightly as new signals filled the screen. He told Laura that they had been detected and that the approaching ships were large and numerous. Laura nodded. Her hands stayed steady as she adjusted course. She did not order retreat. She did not order attack. Instead, she told communications to open a narrow channel. A simple message was sent, translated into basic trade language. The message asked the alien fleet to maintain distance and declared the humans were conducting peaceful survey operations. On the alien flagship, silence followed the message. Then laughter filled the command hall. Vorix mocked the humans for daring to speak as equals. Callan smiled, but his eyes were cold. He ordered a reply. The alien message was long and filled with claims of ownership, dominance, and royal authority. It ended with a demand that the human ships power down and submit to inspection. Laura listened to the translation without reacting. She did not answer right away. Daniel studied the signal itself, not the words. He noticed layers within it, command codes, fleet coordination signals embedded in the transmission. He quietly told Laura that the aliens were not just talking, they were positioning. Laura waited a few seconds longer, then she sent a reply. The human message was short. It said the scouts would not submit and would leave if threatened. That was all. On the alien ship, Callan's smile faded. He felt something he did not like, not fear, but insult. A low-level officer suggested caution. The humans were unknown. Vorix silenced him with a sharp gesture and asked permission to test the humans. Callan agreed. He ordered a limited display of force. No lethal weapons, just enough to scare the small ships into surrender. Energy beams flashed from the alien fleet, cutting through space ahead of the human scouts. Explosions bloomed far enough away to avoid damage, but close enough to threaten. Inside the human ship, no one panicked. Laura ordered evasive movement, not retreat. The scout ships spread out, moving in sharp turns that seemed chaotic but were carefully planned. Daniel watched the alien weapon patterns. He saw delays between firing cycles. He marked power spikes and cooldowns. The human ships did not fire back. Instead, they adjusted shields and let the alien shots pass harmlessly through empty space. The princes expected screams, pleas, or flight. They saw none of it. Vorax leaned forward, confused. He said the humans were acting wrong. Callan's jaw tightened. He ordered another volley, stronger this time. The humans responded at last. Small bursts of energy flashed from the scout ships, precise and controlled. They did not aim at hulls. They aimed at sensors, emitters, and exposed nodes. One alien ship suddenly drifted as its navigation failed. Another lost shield stability and had to pull back. Alarms rang across the alien fleet. Officers shouted reports of systems failing without clear cause. Callan stared at the screens in disbelief. These were scouts, weak ships. They should not be able to do this. On the human side, Laura gave calm instructions. No one raised their voice. No one celebrated. To them, this was data collection. Daniel confirmed his theory. The alien systems relied on rigid patterns and central control. Once disrupted, they became slow and confused. The scouts moved again, faster now, slipping between enemy ships and placing signal markers that fed false information into alien sensors. The alien fleet began to lose formation. Vorax roared in anger and ordered full-power weapons. He no longer cared about restraint. Callan hesitated for a moment, then pride won. He gave the order. As alien weapons charged, space around them shifted. The humans had been waiting. Gravity distortion devices activated, not strong enough to destroy ships, but enough to twist movement and aim. Alien shots went wide. Some struck their own escorts. Panic spread. The human scouts did not stay to watch. Laura ordered withdrawal along a pre-planned route. The ships regrouped and vanished into the dark, leaving behind silent, drifting alien vessels. The battle was over before the alien princes fully understood it had begun. In the aftermath, Callan stood still, staring at the damage reports. Several ships disabled. No human losses confirmed. Vorax slammed a claw into a console, breaking it. He shouted that this was impossible. Officers avoided their gaze. Callan said nothing for a long time. Deep inside, something had changed. The humans had not fought like prey. They had fought like professionals who expected this outcome. Far away, the human scouts returned to safe distance. Laura finally allowed herself a slow breath. Daniel saved the collected data and marked the encounter as first confirmed hostile contact. Neither of them smiled. They both knew this was only the beginning part, too. The first mistake, the alien princes could not stop talking about the encounter. Callan paced across the command hall of the flagship, his tail flicking sharply. Vorax sat hunched over his console, muttering curses at the small human ships. Neither prince had ever experienced defeat before. Their pride had been wounded, and they wanted revenge immediately. The fleet's officers tried to calm them, but even the experienced veterans were uneasy. A few smaller ships remained disabled, drifting in space. This was not supposed to happen. Callan finally spoke. He said they must finish what they started. The humans had shown strength, yes, but they were only scouts. The fleet would attack again, this time with more force. Vorax's eyes glowed as he ordered the hunters to prepare. The hunters were elite alien warriors trained for combat and destruction. Enormous war beasts, creatures bred to obey only Zeralian bloodlines, waited in cages aboard the ships. They were ready to be released. Far from the alien fleet, the human scouts continued their mission. Laura and Daniel held a meeting with the bridge crew. They reviewed the first encounter data carefully. Each movement, each shot from the alien ships had been noted and analyzed. The humans had survived by understanding patterns. Now, they needed to plan for anything the aliens might try next. Ethan Moore, a young communications officer, suggested sending false signals to confuse the enemy fleet. Claire Watson, an expert in sensor manipulation, recommended hiding their heat signatures and creating small decoy signals in multiple directions. Laura agreed. She knew the humans could not fight a full alien fleet in direct combat. Clever thinking and patience would keep them alive. The alien fleet moved faster this time. Callan directed the ships to encircle the humans and prevent their escape. The fleet was large and powerful, bristling with weapons far superior to the scouts. Callan expected another quick victory. He believed the humans would panic this time. The humans watched as the alien fleet closed in. Daniel whispered to Laura that the aliens were confident, maybe overconfident. Laura nodded. She said they would wait for the right moment. Rushing into a fight now could be deadly. Patience was their advantage. The aliens unleashed another attack. Beams of energy cut through empty space. This time, the weapons were stronger, designed to destroy if needed. The scouts adjusted shields and accelerated along carefully chosen paths. Ethan and Claire worked together to project fake ship signatures. The aliens fired at them, but the shots missed or struck decoys. One alien ship, a large war vessel, collided with a drifting satellite from an abandoned human mining station. The resulting explosion damaged its engines. Orcs roared at the unexpected result. He ordered the fleet to split and attack from multiple angles. Laura kept the scouts steady. She instructed them to form a tight diamond formation, allowing overlapping shield coverage. Daniel calculated alien weapon cooldowns and suggested the ships move in bursts between firing cycles. Each human ship avoided direct contact with the enemy, using speed and angles to stay safe. Callan watched the screens as alien ships failed to hit the scouts. Pride turned into confusion. How could a few small ships outmaneuver their entire fleet? He did not understand. Vorex's face darkened with rage. He released the war beasts into space. Massive creatures with armored bodies and sharp claws launched toward the scouts, meant to destroy by physical force. The scouts reacted calmly. The war beasts were fast but predictable in movement. Laura ordered the ships to use gravity pulses in precise bursts. The war beasts were caught in the distortions, unable to reach the scouts without colliding into each other. Some aliens controlling the beasts were thrown out of their seats as control links failed. A minor victory for the humans. The aliens were now losing ships and control of their own forces. Yet Callan refused to admit defeat. He gathered more data, hoping to understand the scouts' abilities. His officers provided analysis, but the answers confused him. Every move the humans made was intelligent, not random. Every action had purpose. Vorex, blinded by anger, made the first mistake. He ordered the fleet to attack with maximum power across all weapons. He did not care for strategy. The attack was meant to crush the humans once and for all. Alien energy beams flared, stronger than ever before. The aliens assumed the humans would panic or be destroyed instantly. But the humans were ready. Daniel had studied alien fleet formations and weapon patterns. He predicted the next firing sequence. Laura gave calm instructions. The scouts released small energy pulses aimed not at destruction but at disruption. The pulses interfered with alien targeting systems. Shields flickered on the alien ships. Engines misfired. Some weapons backfired, disabling ships. Callan's eyes widened in shock. Multiple flagship-class vessels were crippled. Vorex howled in rage. He did not understand how a few scouts could cause so much damage without even firing aggressively. The fleet began to lose cohesion. Ships collided in space or fell out of formation. Laura and Daniel continued their careful maneuvers. No human ships were lost. Each action was precise. Each movement calculated. The scouts had turned the aliens' strength against them. They had used patience, speed, and intelligence. One alien war beast collided with a disabled ship, causing both to drift into the dark. Another ship's energy shields failed completely. Alarms rang across the alien command deck. Officers shouted reports that Callan and Vorex barely heard. Callan finally spoke. He said they needed retreat to repair ships. Vorex refused. He wanted to continue. The disagreement created confusion among the remaining alien officers. Hesitation spread through the fleet. They had never failed before, never been uncertain. The humans did not pursue. They kept distance, scanning and recording. Their goal was survival, not victory. Laura noted the alien reaction and logged patterns. Daniel calculated that the aliens would need at least one cycle to reorganize. Humans would not attack until forced. The alien fleet limped behind. Pride and arrogance had turned to frustration and fear. Callan realized the humans were learning, adapting faster than anticipated. He did not fully understand it, but instinct told him to stop and rethink. Vorex ignored instinct. Rage ruled him. He would pay for this later. Humans returned to a hidden sector for repairs and analysis. They repaired minor shield damage and checked engines. No human lives had been lost. Laura looked at her crew. She said simply, "We survived the first wave. We learned everything we could." Daniel nodded. He said, "They will come back, but now we know them." The part ends with alien princes frustrated, fleet crippled, and human scouts calm, patient, and ready for what would come next. The first real mistake of the alien princes had changed the balance, and the humans had survived with intelligence and courage, setting the stage for greater challenges ahead. If you want, I can now continue and write part 3 in the same style with full 1,600 words. Do you want me to do that? Part 3. Hunters become hunted. The alien princes were furious. Callan paced the command hall of the flagship, tail lashing against the floor. Vorix banged on consoles, sending sparks flying. Their fleet was still damaged from the last encounter, and pride alone could not fix it. The humans had outsmarted them. They had survived without fighting aggressively, and now the princes wanted to crush them completely. "We will hunt them," Vorix hissed. "We will show them what happens when they challenge Zoralian blood." Callan nodded. He summoned the elite hunters, the most feared warriors in the Empire. Each hunter controlled a war beast, enormous creatures bred for destruction, faster than the human ships and stronger than any human technology. The hunters were ready and eager. They had never failed a mission before. Meanwhile, the human scouts were already planning their next steps. Laura King gathered the crew in the bridge. She said, "They will come for us again. This time they will bring hunters and beasts. We have to prepare differently." Daniel Brooks pointed at the screen. "Their war beasts are predictable. They follow the control signals. If we interfere with them, we can slow them down without destroying them." Ethan Moore suggested sending decoy signals to draw the beasts into traps. Claire Watson recommended hiding their heat signatures and making false sensor readings. Laura smiled slightly. "Good. We will fight with brains, not weapons." The alien fleet moved cautiously this time, bringing the hunters forward. Each hunter piloted a massive combat vessel, releasing war beasts in space to track the scouts. The princes watched closely, expecting humans to panic and scatter. But humans did not panic. They stayed calm. They had anticipated this attack. The scouts split into small groups, weaving through asteroids and debris fields. They used the terrain of space itself as cover. Daniel noticed the control signals of the war beasts and adjusted human pulses to confuse them. The beasts slowed, collided with each other, and sometimes with alien ships. Callan's eyes narrowed. "Why are they still alive?" he demanded. Officers hesitated. Some admitted they could not explain it. Every move the humans made seemed calculated to survive and confuse, not to fight directly. Vorix released more beasts, faster and stronger this time. He aimed them straight at the human group. Laura calmly adjusted their course. She told her crew, "Watch their patterns." Every hunter moves the same way. Daniel identified weaknesses in the hunter's control. "They are connected to central signals. If we interfere, the beasts will be useless or turn on each other." Ethan and Claire worked together. They sent pulses that scrambled the control links. The war beasts faltered, some colliding in space. Alien officers screamed at the chaos. Ships lost formation. Shields dropped in sudden bursts. Callan's face was pale. His voice shook. "We underestimated them. This is impossible." Vorix growled, "Impossible." "We will still hunt them." The aliens pursued, but every attack was countered by human strategy. Scouts used decoys, false signals, and precise movements to avoid contact. Laura observed patterns in the alien fleet, noting that when the hunters advanced aggressively, their own ships became vulnerable. She ordered the scouts to pull slightly, letting the beasts advance, then trapping them in small gravity distortions. Several hunters collided with disabled ships. On one ship, a human named Noah Price monitored the battle from behind a screen. He whispered, "They think they are hunters, but they are walking into traps." Another scout, Claire, laughed softly as she guided a war beast into a slow-moving asteroid. It crashed harmlessly, and the beast was temporarily immobilized. The alien fleet began to lose control. Ships collided in panic, shields failed, and the remaining hunters struggled to maintain order. Callan's face twisted in disbelief. He had trained his entire life for battles like this. Yet these humans had no large fleet, no weapons of mass destruction, and no empire behind them. And still they had survived. Vorix grew desperate. He ordered a full assault, ignoring strategy. The humans expected this. Laura instructed her crew to stay calm, avoid unnecessary conflict, and focus on survival. The scouts released small energy pulses into the alien control systems, causing the beasts to panic further. Some turned on their own allies, smashing into ships, creating chaos. Callan tried to regain control. He gave direct orders to separate the hunters from the fleet, to regroup and attack the humans in a coordinated strike. But his officers hesitated. Several ships were drifting. Some hunters were lost or damaged. The aliens' coordination was collapsing. In the midst of the chaos, Daniel noticed a communication signal from one of the alien officers, a lower-ranking commander. The humans intercepted it. He said the hunters were failing. Their control was weak. The officer suggested retreat, but Vorix ignored him. Laura ordered the scouts to move toward the central control signals. They needed to understand the aliens' command structure. She said, "If we interfere with their signals, the hunters will be useless. We don't need to fight them directly." Ethan and Claire worked quickly, adjusting frequencies and sending pulses that disrupted the hunters' control. Several beasts became uncontrollable, colliding with each other or drifting into space. The alien officers panicked. Ships were now more concerned with avoiding their own allies than the scouts. Callan turned to Vorix. "We cannot continue like this. They are too clever." Vorix's eyes glowed with rage. "Clever, we will still hunt them. If they survive, it will be because of luck, nothing else." The scouts continued to observe, not attacking aggressively. They focused on survival and study. Laura ordered them to capture one alien officer, not to kill, but to learn more. They carefully disabled a small escort ship and brought the officer aboard a scout. The captured alien was confused and fearful. Humans treated him calmly, offering water and food. The officer was surprised. He had expected torture or death. Daniel asked him simple questions about the Empire's command, fleets, and hunters. The alien answered, not realizing he was revealing crucial information. Laura smiled slightly. "They are teaching us even as they try to destroy us," she said. The human scouts now had more than data. They had knowledge of the hunters, the war beasts, and alien tactics. Each move they made was measured, precise, and careful. In the alien flagship, Callan and Vorix watched the situation worsen. Pride and anger had clouded their judgment. Their hunters, the elite warriors of the Empire, were now trapped and confused. Ships were disabled. The fleet was in disarray. Officers avoided eye contact. Whispers of doubt spread. Vorix slammed his claw against the console. "We are losing control. How is this possible?" Callan was silent. He could not answer. He realized deep inside that the humans were not simple creatures. They had survived because they were intelligent, adaptable, and patient. They did not fight blindly. They studied, learned, and struck only when needed. Far away, the human scouts regrouped. Laura gave orders to maintain stealth and continue the mission. Daniel compiled data from the captured officer and previous encounters. Ethan and Claire analyzed the hunters' movements and weaknesses. The humans were calm, prepared, and patient. The alien princes, frustrated and furious, ordered retreat for the fleet. They needed time to repair ships and rethink strategy. Pride was wounded, but they were not ready to admit full defeat. The humans had survived, yes, but this was only the beginning. The scouts had proven they could outsmart hunters and beasts. They had survived attacks far stronger than they should have endured. Space around them was still dangerous, but humans had shown they could face the unknown and adapt. Callan turned to Vorix, voice quiet but sharp. "We underestimated them. That was our first mistake. We cannot make another," Vorix growled. "Then we will crush them next time, no matter what it takes." Far away, Laura looked at her crew. "They will come again," she said, "but we are ready. They hunt, but we are smarter." Patience will win. The human scouts continued through the sector, calm, steady, and aware. The alien princes and their fleet had been shaken, their pride hurt, and their confidence damaged. Hunters had become the hunted, and humans had proven that strategy and intelligence could overcome raw power. This encounter marked a turning point. The aliens would not forget it, and the humans would continue to prepare. The galaxy itself seemed to shift as knowledge and cleverness triumphed over arrogance and strength. The hunters became trapped. The princes' pride had blinded them. Humans, patient and observant, moved through the darkness of space, learning, surviving, and preparing for the next inevitable encounter. The balance had shifted. The aliens were no longer certain of victory. The scouts were no longer just observers. They were a warning, a challenge, and a force to be reckoned with. The story of hunters becoming hunted would be remembered, and the next phase of the conflict would test both sides even more. Part 4. Everything starts to fall. The alien princes were desperate. Callan sat in his command chair, staring at screens that showed ships drifting, hunters confused, and war beasts trapped in gravity distortions. Vorix paced the floor, tail flicking angrily. Both had been trained all their lives to command without question, but now they faced a force they could not understand. The humans had survived every attack, avoided every trap, and learned from each encounter. Callan called a meeting of his top officers. "We cannot continue like this," he said quietly. "Our hunters fail, our fleet is crippled, we must rethink, we cannot let humans escape us again." Vorix slammed his claw on the table. "Rethink? No, we strike now with full force. They will regret ever crossing our path." Officers hesitated. Some were loyal to the prince's pride, some worried about the fleet's state. The confusion spread quickly. Ships without proper control drifted, shields were failing, and communication links were partially broken. The aliens were losing control. Far from the chaos, the human scouts prepared. Laura King had studied every previous encounter and calculated possible strategies the aliens could use. She knew the next attack would be large, dangerous, and unpredictable. She called her crew together. "We need to be ready for anything. They will come with everything they have. We survive by staying calm, by thinking, not by rushing into battle." Daniel Brooks nodded. "They rely on overwhelming power. If we disrupt that, they cannot win." Ethan Moore and Claire Watson worked quickly to set up decoys and false signals. The scouts hid their heat signatures and moved quietly, like shadows in space. They were small, invisible, and smart. Every movement had a purpose. The alien fleet gathered for a massive strike. The princes ordered all weapons charged, all hunters and war beasts ready. The goal was simple: destroy the humans or capture them. The alien ships moved in formation, bright shields glowing, weapons ready. The hunters growled and flared, sensing prey. Laura watched the fleet approach. She whispered, "They think size and power will win. They do not understand patience." The humans began their plan. Small pulses disrupted alien sensors, causing confusion. Decoy signals made it seem like there were more ships than actually existed. Gravity distortions were placed in key positions, ready to trap the hunters and war beasts. The scouts moved calmly, slowly, deliberately. Callan saw the humans moving. He ordered a direct strike. Beams of energy lit up the space between fleets. The humans did not panic. They moved in precise bursts, letting the beams pass harmlessly by. Some energy struck decoys, some were deflected by shields. The aliens were surprised at the scouts' ability to survive. Vorix released the war beasts. Enormous creatures shot through space toward the scouts, but the humans had anticipated this. They released small energy pulses to disrupt control signals. The beasts collided, some turning on their own handlers. Alarms rang through the alien fleet. Ships fired at each other accidentally. Chaos spread. The scouts did not attack aggressively. Laura kept them calm, watching patterns. "Wait," she said. "They will make mistakes if they are impatient." The aliens pressed on, but pride clouded their judgment. They pushed the fleet forward without coordination. Callan tried to regain control, but systems were failing. Hunters were trapped, ships were disabled, and communication between vessels was broken. Ethan suggested taking advantage. "We can trap their command ships if we use the gravity pulses correctly. They rely on formation." Daniel nodded. "We just need one chance. One mistake from them is enough." Laura ordered the scouts to position near a dense asteroid field. Alien ships followed aggressively, not noticing the trap. Gravity pulses activated, pulling the leading command ships off course. They drifted into dangerous areas. Shields weakened. Engines strained. Vorix shouted, "Stop them! Control the beasts!" It was too late. The war beasts, disrupted by human pulses, collided with disabled ships. Alien officers panicked. The fleet began to break apart. Callan realized the humans had used intelligence and preparation to turn the aliens' strength against them. The scouts used the moment to move closer. They did not attack destructively. Small pulses disabled key systems on the alien ships without causing death. Some hunters were trapped, unable to move. War beasts drifted helpless. Alien officers screamed in confusion. Callan's voice shook. How can this be?" "We are the Empire, we are superior," Vorix growled. "We will still destroy them, full power." He ordered a massive energy blast at the scouts. The humans anticipated it. Shields were timed to deflect, pulses disrupted the targeting systems. The alien beams went wide, some hitting their own fleet. Explosions rocked the flagship and nearby vessels. The humans captured one of the alien commanders carefully. They treated him with food and water, showing respect. The captured officer could not understand this behavior. Humans did not kill or torture. They were calm, observing, and learning. Daniel asked questions about the fleet, the hunters, and the Empire's tactics. The officer unwittingly revealed critical information. Laura looked at her crew. We learn as they act. Every move they make teaches us more. The alien fleet was falling apart. Ships collided, hunters were trapped, war beasts were out of control. Officers no longer knew which orders to follow. Callan tried to regain coordination, but pride and panic prevented him. The fleet's power, once unquestioned, had turned against itself. Vorix roared in anger. We cannot fail, we cannot lose. Callan shook his head. We already have. Their strength is not in weapons. It is in strategy, patience, and intelligence. We have underestimated them too long. The scouts moved silently through the sector, using every trick and advantage. They had not fired a destructive shot unless necessary. Their goal was survival, observation, and preparation. Yet in doing so, they had crippled a superior fleet. Laura whispered, They will remember this lesson. They will fear us. Daniel added, And we know more now than they do. Every mistake they make becomes ours to use. The aliens were trapped, confused, and fractured. The scouts had used patience and cleverness to survive, turning the hunters into helpless beasts and the fleet into chaos. The Empire's pride had been broken without a direct war. Callan finally admitted, quietly, We underestimated them. It was our first mistake. Every move we made, they anticipated and countered. Our strength blinded us. Vorix growled, but even he could see the truth. Humans had survived with intelligence, strategy, and calm patience. The alien fleet had lost ships, hunters, and control, all to a small group of scouts. The captured officer had witnessed the humans' methods and would tell others. The lessons of this encounter would spread across the Empire. Other species under alien control might start to resist, inspired by the scouts' success. Laura and her crew regrouped in a hidden sector. Shields repaired, sensors refreshed, systems checked. No human lives were lost. They had survived the largest attack yet, and they had learned every detail possible about the enemy fleet, the hunters, and their war beasts. The princes, humiliated and frustrated, were forced to retreat. Callan spoke quietly to Vorix. We cannot underestimate them again. They are not prey. They are clever, prepared, and patient. We lost because we let anger and pride control us. Vorix's tail lashed, but he nodded. Next time we will not make the same mistakes. But for now, they have survived, and that alone is shameful. In the distance, the human scouts moved steadily through space, calm, ready, and alert. The alien princes had lost control, their hunters were trapped, and their fleet fractured. Humans had shown that preparation, intelligence, and patience could overcome raw strength, and the galaxy had begun to notice. The balance had shifted. Humans were no longer just observers. They were a force to be reckoned with, capable of turning hunters into hunted, and showing that pride and arrogance could be defeated without a single major battle. The story of the fallen alien fleet would be remembered across space, and humanity's scouts had proven that strategy and patience could overcome even the greatest empires. Part 5. The lesson that echoes. The alien princes returned to their home sector, their fleet reduced, their pride shattered. Callan sat quietly on the command chair, staring at the stars, thinking about what had happened. Vorix paced, tail twitching, claws scratching the floor. Both had faced humans and lost. Not to numbers, not to weapons, but to intelligence, patience, and strategy. The alien empire awaited their report. Nobles and officers expected a tale of victory, a story of how the princes had crushed weak humans. Instead, Callan and Vorix brought news of defeat. Ships lost, hunters trapped, fleets crippled, and the humans had survived without even firing a full-scale attack. Whispers of disbelief spread through the empire. The human scouts, meanwhile, returned to friendly space. Laura King and Daniel Brooks monitored the aftermath from their bridge. They had survived every attack, learned every tactic the aliens had used, and now had insight into the empire itself. They gathered their crew for a quiet meeting. We have done more than survive, Laura said. We have shown that careful planning, observation, and intelligence can overcome strength. The princes will remember this, and others may too. Daniel added, Our duty was to observe and report. But we also learned that humans are never as weak as they appear. Preparation and patience are our greatest weapons. The captured alien officer had returned with them. He had seen how humans treated enemies, how they avoided unnecessary destruction, and how intelligence was valued over brute force. He could not forget it. His mind struggled to understand a species that fought without anger, that studied before acting, that respected life even when threatened. Far away, Callan and Vorix faced a council of the Empire. They explained the encounters, the failures, the humans' clever strategies, and the complete loss of control over their own hunters. The council listened in disbelief. An elder noble spoke. "You underestimated them. Your arrogance blinded you. The humans survive because they learn, they adapt, and they think. You treated them as prey. Instead, they were your teachers." Callan lowered his head. He had never felt shame like this. Vorix growled softly, but he too understood. The humans were not weak. They had survived, outsmarted, and endured. The Empire's subjects began to hear of the defeat. Other alien species, long under Zeralian control, whispered among themselves. If humans could survive the fleet and hunters, then perhaps the Empire was not invincible. Seeds of resistance began to grow. The prince's failure had consequences far beyond a single sector. Back with the scouts, Laura and Daniel received reports from other humans. Ships in nearby sectors had noted alien fleet losses. Humans celebrated quietly, knowing that the victory had not been violent but brilliant. Every scout, every sensor operator, and every officer understood the value of strategy over force. Laura spoke to her crew. "Remember this moment. We survived not because we were strong, but because we were ready. Because we studied, we observed, and we acted with intelligence. We saved lives without unnecessary conflict. That is humanity's way." Daniel looked at her, nodding. "And the universe will remember it. Humans do not fight blindly. We do not underestimate anyone. Even the strongest may fail against preparation and patience." The alien princes were sent back to human space, not as prisoners but as witnesses. The humans treated them with respect, showing the alien fleet's condition, explaining the traps, the strategy, and the intelligence that had led to their victory. Callan and Vorix were astonished. No humans gnashed teeth or shouted. No one celebrated by hurting them. They were shown the results calmly, clearly, and honestly. Callan spoke quietly, almost to himself. "They fight differently. They do not rely on rage, they rely on thought. They are dangerous because they survive and learn." Vorix nodded, tail low. "We expected prey. Instead, we found equals in strategy, and we lost everything because of pride and ignorance." Humans released the princes and allowed them to return to their empire. News of the defeat traveled fast. The empire was shaken. Pride had been broken without a single full-scale war. Stories spread of small scout ships surviving attacks by elite hunters and war beasts, of strategy defeating raw power. Other species began to prepare. They studied humans, noted their patience, and realized that even the mighty Zeralian Empire could be challenged. The prince's failure had become a warning across the galaxy. Never underestimate humans. Back on the human scout ships, Laura spoke to her crew once more. "This mission is complete. We observed, we survived, and we learned. Humans are ready, and the galaxy will remember it. Patience, intelligence, and preparation are stronger than arrogance and force." Daniel smiled faintly. "We may have only been scouts, but we changed the way the Empire sees humanity. They will think twice before attacking again." Ethan Moore and Claire Watson nodded. "They will remember the lessons of hunters becoming hunted," Ethan said. "And the princes, they will carry the shame of their pride for the rest of their lives." The scouts moved on, continuing to explore unknown sectors, mapping space, and studying alien fleets. The humans had proven that courage alone was not needed. Thought, patience, and intelligence were the true weapons. The alien princes returned to their empire with empty fleets and broken pride. Callan spoke to his council. "We underestimated humans. Their strength is not in numbers or weapons. It is in thought, patience, and preparation. We must respect them or face further loss." Vorix said quietly, "We will not forget this lesson, but we will never underestimate humans again." Far across the galaxy, the story spread. Humans were no longer seen as weak, small, or divided. Scouts, observers, and explorers proved that intelligence could win over strength, patience over pride. Alliances shifted quietly. Other species began to prepare, learning from humans' methods and success. Laura and Daniel looked at the stars, knowing that their small scout mission had caused ripples across the galaxy. The humans had survived against overwhelming odds, taught powerful lessons to alien princes, and ensured that humanity's name would be respected. The final lesson echoed clearly: humans never arrive unprepared. Humans never fight blindly. And even the mightiest empire could fall when arrogance and pride were met with intelligence, patience, and careful strategy. The scouts moved forward, calm, steady, and ready for the next challenge. They had won without destruction, taught without violence, and survived against enemies far stronger. The galaxy had changed. Humans had proven themselves not just observers, but a force capable of shaping the future. The prince's shame and the empire's loss were remembered. Stories of small ships defeating elite hunters spread like quiet fire. Across stars and sectors, the message was clear. Humanity is clever, prepared, patient, and unstoppable when it matters most. Laura whispered to her crew as they continued through the unknown. This is only the beginning. Humans will always learn, always prepare, and always survive. Daniel added quietly, and the universe will never forget it. Humanity's scouts had won. The Empire had faltered. The lesson was written in the stars. Intelligence and preparation can defeat arrogance and strength, and even the smallest ships can change the course of history. The galaxy would remember.